Every day in the news, I hear about a new terrorist attack, or the story of a young girl gone missing, and tomorrow I will learn in the radio that she's been raped and murdered. I'm constantly made aware about most of the problems in the world. Of course, it's important to be aware of them. But actually, we also need to hear about the solutions. Is that all there is in the news today? Is that all there is in the world? Bad news? Do you want to hear about positive stories? Do you? Yeah, good. That's good. I have one for you.
German gynecologists perform breast exams to screen for cancer, but they are often done quickly due to time constraints.
The idea occurred to me that one could improve the breast exam if it were performed by a gifted woman with a highly developed sense of touch, and the blind have the best sense of touch of anyone. That's the size of a tumor a woman can feel herself, between 1 and 2 centimeters. That's what a doctor can find during an exam. And 6 and 8 millimeters, that's what a trained blind person can detect.
This gynecologist created Discovering Hands to train the blind to give breast exams. Marie-Louise Fall is one of the first beneficiaries of this one-of-a-kind program. Today, she examines 700 patients a year under the supervision of a medical doctor.
That's the technical problem. Doesn't matter, you got the idea. Well, actually, this initiative solves 3 issues in the same time. Early detection and saving of lives, employment for disabled people, and also saving costs for the National Health Services and for insurers. Isn't that great? Do you want another story like this? Good. It's the story, sorry. It's the story of it's the story of a music conductor and a garbage picker in Paraguay who wanted to bring music in the slums, but they didn't have the money to pay for their instruments. So look how amazing and creative their idea is.
Mi nombre es Ada Maribel Ríos Bogado, tengo 13 años y toco el violín.
Me llamo Juan Manuel Chávez, más conocido como Baby, tengo 19 años y toco el cello. Este cello está hecho de una lata de aceite, la madera tirada en la basura y las clavijas son de una vieja cuchara para golpear la carne y para hacer el ñoquis. Y suena así.
Fabio ya me trajo ya un violín, quería para hacer ese. Y calculé y me fui a buscar una tacita de aluminio y preparé y le pone toda la mango, la cuerda.
Cuando vimos eso nos matamos de risa, o sea, parecía una broma, ¿no? Y sin embargo, probó el profesor y nos dimos cuenta que el instrumento funcionaba y que un niño puede comenzar sus primeras lecciones con dignidad con ese instrumento.
Yo no pensaba antes que yo voy a hacer ese instrumento. Y me siento demasiado feliz cuando estoy viendo a un niño que está tocando un violín reciclado.
Nosotros realizamos con esa orquesta conciertos en Europa, tocando en centros educativos, tocando en conciertos. Con esta filosofía transmitimos este sueño de la orquesta de instrumentos reciclados.
There is also another story that changed my life when I was 14. My brother Hubert and his friend Laurent were wondering what they could do which could be useful for people in the slums of Santiago de Chile where they were living. Until one day they read an article about Muhammad Yunus, who found a way to get out of poverty women thanks to microcredits, enabling them to become micro-entrepreneurs and to make a living out of it. So they loved this idea, and they decided to replicate it in Chile. And 30 years later, this microcredit bank had created 100,000 jobs. 100,000 jobs. I realized that if the journalist never wrote this story, he would never have inspired my brother and his friend, and he would never have impacted 100,000 people. So I wondered why news media don't talk more often about solutions and positive stories. I realized that telling solution-based stories could change the world. When I was 24, with two friends of mine, we decided to leave for a worldwide tour looking for positive stories like this. And the book that came out of it became a bestseller. Well, actually, it was not because of my writing. And I must tell you a secret that will probably reassure some parents here. I was very bad in writing at school. And just to give you an example, the first time I had 0 in spelling, my parents opened the champagne because it was the first time I had not minus 15. So the book became a bestseller because people need to know about those stories to get inspired and change the world. Well, I forgot that. So I thought to myself that why don't news media talk about positive stories? And you will tell me, I know you're thinking that good news doesn't sell. And that's exactly what the head of one of the most renowned newspapers in France, Libération, it's exactly what he thinks. And I heard him saying that on stage, and I came to him and I offered him a challenge. What about making one issue of Libération dedicated to solutions? Not with fluffy news, feel-good stories, but real solutions. And he looked at me like this. What's the man? He's bothering me. And he said what usually most French people say, no. You don't need the translation. Yeah? And he explained to me, you know what? The role of journalism is to dip the pen in the wound and to talk about the problem. Well, that was just to make me feel that some people have a worse accent than me. And he told me that, well, you have a vision of the world which is a wonderland. So I was very upset. So I came back to him a second time with new arguments, and he gave me the same answer. So I came back with a friend of his who was a war reporter, so not supposed to be naive, but with a positive vision of human beings. And together we convinced him. So he said, okay, let's do it on the 26th of December. I was very excited. I won. And my friend turned to me, 26th of December is the worst day in terms of sales, so it's clearly his way to get rid of you. But finally we did it with freelancers because the journalist of the newsroom didn't want to do it. It was too positive. And actually it happened to be the best sale of the year. And I've been told that when they came back from their early days, they said, well, actually, it was much more interesting than what we thought. It was real journalism. So if you do it again, next time we should do it seriously, we should do it ourselves. And that's exactly what I was expecting. So they did it 9 times with a lot of success. Sorry. So do you want to know one of the stories we told in this supplement, in this issue? Yes, thank you.
The problem in the world is that there are almost 1 billion people who need glasses, and either they can't afford them or they don't have access to them.
This former entrepreneur in the steel industry decided to apply himself to the problem. With his son Frederick, he developed adjustable eyeglasses. 2 lenses built into the glass with one sliding over the other to achieve the desired focalization.
Every project starts with a load of difficulties. People that don't believe in you, people that are negative, that are saying, what are you, what have you thought of? Come on, don't be silly.
8 years later, Jan sells these glasses in more than 36 countries. Their ease of use is one of the reasons for their success.
You just put it on your nose, then you take your pointer fingers and you use your thumb to adjust. Every time somebody adjusts a focus pack and he can see and smile, that is a blessing of God.
These glasses, sold for between 2 and 5 euros, respond to the needs of 90% of the population. Their owners will be able to benefit from them for life.
Yeah.
Don't we want more stories like this? Yes. So after this experience with Libération, I've created Spark News 5 years ago. And we are more or less doing the same kind of thing with the leading news media of 50 countries. We are putting them all together, and they publish 50 stories, all of them, an average of 8 pages, print and web, videos. And it reaches 120 million readers, 50 million on Twitter. And actually, the feedbacks from the reader, the audience, are so great that the newsroom changed their minds. And now they are integrating solution journalism on a more regular basis. And some of the projects that we told about have been replicated elsewhere in the world, like the Discovering Ants with the Blind Women in Colombia or Mexico, because it inspired more people. Now, I want to turn it back on me, on us, on each one of us. What are the stories we tell to our children when we go back home? Do we tell about our bad day and our concerns? What about telling them about the story of Muskan, a little girl of their age? Sorry. Well, that was the... Well, that's Muhammad Yunus with the Bangladeshi version. So Muskan, she had a few books that she loved. And she decided to share them in front of her doorstep for the children who couldn't go to school. And one journalist told her story. A few weeks later, she received hundreds of books from all over India. And now, she has a library in front of her doorstep, and she teaches the children how to read. Don't you think they would love this story? And actually, I'm sure that Muskan will be one of their role models alongside Spider-Man and the Frozen Queen. What about the stories we tell to our colleagues? There are a lot of big or small companies that do amazing things. Actually, next week, we have 20 business newspapers, including the Financial Times, the China Business News, who will publish 50 stories with us about those companies with a purpose. We are also launching a Positive Innovation Club in London to share the best practices. There is a last story I want to tell because I rely with this one. It's the story of a boss of an industrial company of 2,000 people who asked his employees, how could we use our know-how, technical know-how, to do good? They came back with a great idea, which was printing photovoltaic cells on floppy films, because they use their technology to do that. And actually, they do it with only organic ink, without rare earth, without toxic components, and it's totally recyclable. So it's a huge breakthrough for the energy industry. And actually, that's the boss. Don't you think we look alike a little? Well, actually, it's my brother, Hubert, who was in the slums 30 years ago. As a conclusion, we are not all journalists, but we can tell stories, positive stories. We can share them. So if we want to change the world, please share positive stories. Thank you.